It's another day, another Maker event, and, well, it's not just any day really, is it? Today is December 24, Christmas Eve for many. It's the final day of the Advent calendar season, and final day of Maker Advent. And so, we have returning guests, we have Banana for Scale, back once again to cause mischief, and the new favourite mascot, Gary, who is protective of his baubles. Gary? Dude, I mean, come on. I've paid you more money. I gave you a £5. His agent demanded more money for him. What can I say? And you're not performing, Gary, right?
Get off my baubles.
Chill. So, final day of Maker Advent. I wanted to go back and have a think about the past. The eons and years ago where I first became a maker. And that was probably the 1980s. In the 1980s, I was but a young lad, and I got my first computer. My first computer was a Commodore 16. This isn't my first computer, that went years ago. As I upgraded to the next computer, I would sell the previous computer to make some money to buy the next one, or to buy games for it. This is an eBay purchase about 5 years ago. So this was the type of machine I learned to code on. I learned BASIC, beginner's all-purpose symbolic instruction code. And I played a lot of games, mainly played games, but I did some BASIC. Also didn't know how to save to tape when I was a kid, so I had to type out the listing every single time. That was fun. Commodore 16 had one of those, and then I upgraded to a Commodore 64. And here is a Commodore 64. It looks very familiar to the Commodore 16 and also the VIC-20, which I also have. This isn't my original Commodore 64. Again, this was an eBay purchase a few years ago. And I did more coding with this. Again, more games and coding. My C64 games collection was legendary, and pretty much all bought as well. It was only when we got to the Amiga 500 that playground swapping happened quite a lot, if you get what I mean. Also, did anyone actually own X-Copy on the Amiga? Anyway, I love the Commodore machines. These bread bin machines have a special place in my heart, but I also like the Spectrum, the sworn enemy of Commodore computers. I just like the design of them, they were nice. I prefer Commodore for the keyboard. Trust me, typing on dead flash keys is not great, but saying that, these aren't fantastic either. Make a great noise though. So just recently, the Spectrum was released, which was a Linux based emulator of a full proper ZX Spectrum. And I thought, that looks interesting, I may get one of those. So I was going to get one. But then something happened. So just recently a friend of mine contacted me and went, Les, I've got a Spectrum and an Atari ST 1040 that need a new home. Could you find a new home for them? And I was like, yes I will. The Spectrum is here. The Atari ST is with my mate Scott, because he collects Ataris and lots of other stuff. Mainly stuff from my loft. Sorry Scott, you've got a lot of my crap in your loft now. So, a ZX Spectrum. Oh, which one is it? Very good condition ZX Spectrum issue 2. So it's got 16K of RAM, not a 48K machine. No Horizons book unfortunately, but there is the ZX Spectrum. Let's get it in shot. And it's pretty good nick. The faceplate does fall off occasionally, I need to stick that back on, but it's in pretty good nick. And if anyone's collecting serial numbers, there we go. Now the problem with these is, apart from the ULA, which is one of the chips inside getting really hot, it's a Ferranti one as well, which is one of the old ones. Power supplies. This is a standard ZX Spectrum power supply, and it delivers 9 volts to your ZX Spectrum. It actually, unloaded, has 12 volts output, which is a bit high. It works, it's safe, and I've checked online, and that is one of the acceptable voltage ranges. But I thought it needs a better power supply, so I went on the hunt for one, and I didn't have one available, so I made one. And we're going to cover that today, and something else. It connects to your TV using RF. Remember tuning in your TV? Yeah, I've not really got a TV in the office, I've only got my monitor, which I can use with a converter for composite to HDMI. But the problem is, that doesn't output composite, or does it? So, let's crack the case open and have a look inside. One moment please. Okay, using my Hoto electric screwdriver. So that's the case loose. I'll flip it over that way. We'll open it up, and then I'll try and remember to take off these. 1 second, I can't see it, so I need to be careful.
Get off my bubbles.
Gary, I'm not stealing your bubble. Chill out. So there's the insides of a ZX Spectrum issue 2. And also the keyboard connections are in really good condition, no cracking. There's the Ferranti ULA. In there is the RF. And we've got lots of RAM and special chips. But really easy to work on. And I have worked on it already today. Well, sorry, yesterday. So there is a ZX Spectrum. So I have done some work on it. I've tweaked the power connection here. It was just a little bit wobbly. So I've cleaned it and I've just re-tinned it. So it's nice and stable now. Also sprayed a bit of contact cleaner in there. Removed the ULA and sprayed some contact cleaner and let it dry. I am going to change the voltage regulator to 7805. So it's a 5 volt voltage reg. To something a little bit less hot. They run hot. The Ferranti ULA runs hot. I need to find a way of cooling that. Probably a little heatsink. But here is where I need to start my projects. You'll see a capacitor just there. That's a 100 microfarad capacitor. That's not normally there. That's from my spare parts bin. You'll see that this connection here has been cut. And also the connection there has been cut. Because they both connect inside of here. They both go inside of there. So what I've done is, rather than cut them, I've desoldered the connections and just tucked them into this can here, the casing. The negative leg of the capacitor goes through a plastic grommet just there. There you go, can you see it? See the leg just there? Goes through and it solders to the RF connection there, the little phono connection. Positive leg goes down and connects to that thing there. So now, rather than RF, that is sending out composite video, which means I can actually see it on my monitor.
My bubbles.
Gary is shocked at that. So, let's just put this all back together again. 1 moment, please. Yeah, so internally, that's all the mod's done. Just a composite mod so I can actually see what's going on. The power mod is external completely, so I can still use the official power supply. Put the case screws back in. And because I'm putting these back into plastic, that's now 40 something years old, I'm just going anti-clockwise for a moment to drop into the thread, and then screwing into the thread. I don't want to cut any more threads into plastic, that's 40 something years old. And I'm not screwing these down tightly, just enough so it holds. So, we've got a ZX Spectrum. Great, now what? Well, we need power for it, so let's give it some power. I made this. So yes, it's center negative and its outside is positive. This is a 9 volt power supply that connects into your Spectrum. The other end is USB C, and by setting a jumper on there using just a solder bridge, it's set to 9 volts. So it's sending 9 volts of power to the Spectrum, and I can then use the Spectrum on any USB power supply that I've got. And I'm insanely happy about that, because that was a little hack I had in my head ages ago to make a power supply, and I thought, I wonder what I could use, and then I bought something from Temu just off the cuff. And it's like, it runs 9 volts and I could wire it up to a DC jack. That's handy. So anyhow, let's hook this all up. 1 moment please. So I'm using a Garner Mini AV to HDMI box I got from Amazon a million years ago. It's a upscaler to 1080p. Upscaler, it doesn't really. This isn't a scan doubler, it isn't RetroTink, anything like that. It's really just composite in, HDMI out. And it does 720p or 1080p. I just set it to 720p. It's fine. So I get this and I put in an HDMI lead. There we go. I get my, of course this is a composite lead, it's not just an RF fly lead. Yeah, I can't find my lead. Put that in, put it in there. I will get a proper lead for it, yes I know. To view it I'm going to use a USB to HDMI capture. One of these 10 quid ones I got from eBay. Let's plug that in. That's in there. And I will get USB power for the upscaler. I'll plug in there. That goes into here. This, yeah, it needs its own power supply, this upscaler. And it's one of the old USB leads, weird ones. And finally, USB C power for the mighty Spectrum. Yeah, rat's nest of cables, I know. So I'm going to plug this in and we'll go to capture. And here we are. ZX Spectrum. We have a working ZX Spectrum, which does need a little bit of TLC and a bit of tweaking, but it's got a composite mod and it's got USB C power, and I'm happy about that. That's Christmas for me. That's me tinkering around with this, and that's Maker Advent done for another year. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate every single one of you watching these videos. As you can tell by the quality, I'm not a professional. I just do this for a bit of a laugh every year. Bit of a laugh, also a bit stressful as well, but it's all part of the thing. I enjoy hacking around with tech, and I'm in a privileged position to have a bit of it lying around. So I want to share what I know, what I do, with everyone else. I'm going to continue on with some bits and pieces, probably some extra helpings of Maker Advent here and there, probably between now and New Year. There's some things that I've not done that I said I was going to do. My nemesis, yes. And two, there's all that stuff there I was going to talk about. Yeah, might do a YouTube short on that one. That way I can just grab the camera and go around the shot. There is a lot of stuff there. But anyway, that is all for now. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next year. Ta-da.